off I go, and he brings me into the building, which is now Willow.
Yeah.
And immediately I walked in. First of all, it was ripped to the studs. There weren't even stairs to enter into the home. You had to like walk up a plank to get in. It's all a mess. And right away I was like, oh, I can see it. This would be better.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Because it had multiple rooms, and I thought I could treat it like a home, and I could have a living area. I could have a dining area. I thought at the time I would do like a design studio and all of this stuff. So I'm like, okay, I see this. Again, no clue how to do this. Mind you, now I am still a single mom, not making a ton of money. It's not like I had this reserve to pull from or a fund to be like, great, I'll invest in a store. So basically I just kind of kept following the breadcrumbs. I did what you were talking about earlier, just kind of Googled, like, how do I get a loan? How do I get funding?
All right, guys, this was a great episode. I had on my good friend, Brenda Behling. She's an awesome person, mom, interior designer, and owner of Willow, which is a home decor, furniture, and more store in Windham. It is absolutely awesome. You'll love it. Super cool shop. Go in and check it out. Brenda talked about how she's persevered, had to figure things out, get through some tough times, overcome challenges, and she's just a super cool person. Enjoy the show.
The mic drop.
Subscribe to success.
All right, guys, I'm super excited about this one. I've got my good friend, Brenda Behling, on the show today. Mother, entrepreneur, interior designer, store owner, passionate, creative, right?
That's it.
Right? An awesome person. So welcome,
thank you.
Brenda. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
No, absolutely. I've wanted to get you on for a while. Your store in Windham has blown up. Mm-hmm. I know a whole bunch of people whose homes you've designed, mine included rather. And I think your whole story is just pretty fucking awesome. So
thank you.
I wanted to have you on so you could tell everyone all about all the cool things you've done and inspire other people to kind of go out on a limb and just go for it.
Crazy people.
Right?
Want to get into this entrepreneurial world.
It's great though. You know, we're so fortunate to be in a country, a space, a life where we're able to just go for it and do things.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I love having people on the show that have done things like that because it will inspire other people to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, you don't have to just go work for somebody else.
Correct.
You know, fuck it. Just go do it yourself.
I couldn't imagine it for sure. So I hope that it's inspirational. I definitely have a different story. So I'm happy to share.
Yeah, please do. Why don't you start just by telling people where you're from, right? How you kind of, like your early path to where you are now.
Up here? Okay. So I'm from right nearby. So we're in Windham, New Hampshire now, and I grew up in Chelmsford, Mass, Merrimack Valley, so not too far from here. My whole family is still there. So had a suburban upbringing. I went to college at UMass Amherst, and I was a fashion major there. So my whole life long have always loved fashion, design, color, photography. You know, I was that girl who every day would rearrange my room and have like a big reveal when my mom would come home every day. And be like, close your eyes, don't look. And I would, I'd move the bed from one wall to another. And same thing with clothing. So from a little girl, loved clothes, hair, makeup, all that stuff. So it's sort of like in my blood. So then after college, did the usual, like kind of jump from job to job, but ultimately landed in New York City working for Kenneth Cole, a fashion designer. And I worked in his corporate offices doing retail marketing. So any store opening, if we had a fashion show and we had to do an after party, that was me. And so
that's pretty cool. How old are you when you were doing that?
So I was there from 24 to 30.
Awesome.
So like literally no other better place to be in your 20s than New York City. I lived in Hoboken, New Jersey. So if you know anything about Hoboken, it's like full of 20-somethings, or at least it was back then. So much fun. So literally lived out my dreams there. So that was sort of like the first step to sort of jumping in and grabbing some dreams that I never thought I would be able to do. I remember being at my first fashion show there in Grand Central Station. So cool. And I did. I like sort of took a moment and looked around and was like, wow, like you always wanted to do this and now you're doing it. So that was amazing. So I was there.
How did you get there? How did you end up landing in New York, right?
So early 20s, so right out of college, I sort of did a bunch of different, not just retail jobs, but working in the home office for retail stores. So if you remember Filene's Basement from back in the day, I worked in their corporate offices. I went out to Florida for a little bit. We're talking my early 20s, so was waitressing, doing a million different things. And then after I came back from Florida, I thought, all right, you know what? At that point, I think I was 23, 24, and I'm like, I need to kind of get back into what I love, which is fashion. So I went down Newbury Street in Boston and put my application in at every single designer that I could think of, Gucci, Calvin Klein, Kenneth Cole, just walked down the street literally. And when I went into Kenneth Cole, the store manager hired me on the spot, so I just landed there.
All right, so that alone is a great story, right? Because that's just like determination. That's deciding you're going to do something and just going for it. And going out on a limb, right? Not too many people have the balls just to walk down Newbury Street and put in their application at every store. You know,
and also
takes a special person that really, you know, you knew what you wanted and you were just going to go get it.
Thank you. Yeah, and I also think too, for me, I knew it didn't matter where I started. I just had to get my foot in the door, and then I would figure it out. So I think for some people, they might think, well, oh, you know, I want to be the owner or the lead designer, so that's what I have to shoot for. No, just get your foot in the door and then make your way. So that's what I did. I literally was a sales associate, quickly became, you know, assistant manager, store manager. Every time my district manager came in, I would tell her, I want to be in New York City. If there's ever an opening, let me know. And not too long, I probably was in the store for less than a year. Yeah. And sure enough, she came in, and she was always so supportive of me. And she's like, listen, there's 2 openings right now in the corporate offices. Do you want me to put your name in? And I'm like, yep. So I went to New York, you know, total wide-eyed, like, girl from Boston. Yeah. I thought I knew what I was doing because I was like a Boston girl. New York City, like, crushed me. Yeah. I was like, where am I? So went in, interviewed, got offered the position. Meanwhile, in that period of time, too, I should mention that I met my then husband. Yep. And he was working in the city, so it was another...
So you met him in
I met him in Boston, but he was working in New York.
Got it, okay.
So it was another draw, another way for me to go there. So I went there. We began our relationship. And so we were dating in our 20s. I'm now working in the corporate offices for Kenneth Cole, just like having the time of my life. Moved up the ranks there as well. So I started off as the assistant to the retail division. So funny story about this too. So I went in, I interviewed with her, and if you've ever seen the movie Devil Wears Prada, I'm telling you, that was my life, and that was my job. So this woman, although she wasn't as like hardcore as Anna Wintour, she was pretty hardcore. I mean, all those crazy things that she would have to go do, you know, coffee, shopping for her personal items, that was me all over the place. But day one on the interview, I go in and meet her. She's crazy high energy, like fit athlete, like going 1,000,000 miles a minute. She's like, okay, walk with me. And I'm like, okay. So we're walking. I have no idea where I'm going, what I'm doing. We get in the elevator, and we open the elevator, and we're literally in Kenneth Cole's office. And she's like, Kenneth, I want you to meet Brenda. And I'm like, oh my God, this is happening. And it was that quick. And
that was day one?
That was day one. And I was that close to him, like on a day-to-day basis. And to me, I sort of thought like, oh, well, I'm not like the head of marketing, or I thought it was sort of like a not great position to start off at. But in retrospect, I'm like, I literally was one person removed from the whole shebang. So it was meant to be.
Of course,
it was
and
a great
there's a
experience.
reason for that.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't just happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's because you're a special person that should have been in that position.
I guess so. I mean, it took me a long time to kind of reflect on it, but yeah, and it was amazing. It was such a great experience. I loved working there. So worked there for 5 years, got engaged. 9/11 happened.
Yep.
Which...
Oh, you were still in the city.
We were still in the city.
Yep.
It was just crazy. So that was in September. I was due to get married in October. Obviously, our entire world was rocked. We were safe. All of our loved ones were safe, but it really, really shook us. It was
absolutely.
So scary to be there.
I couldn't imagine being there.
Yeah, it was awful. And it's a really important part of my story because it really shook me. Mm-hmm. Again, you know, I was this girl from Boston. I had a really nice upbringing, was very sort of safe. And on that day, I thought that we were in a war zone and that I thought that...
We were.
Yeah, it was awful. So got married a month later. New York was obviously like just really crazy at that time. Yeah. And it was really affecting us. And we got offered, my ex-husband was offered a position back up here in New England for his work, and we took it. Yeah. We were like, we got to get out of the city. We're ready for something different. And so we made our way back this way. And we went the exact opposite of New York. We moved to Marblehead, Massachusetts, lived on the beach. I got a dog.
Nice.
I ran the Boston Marathon twice. It was like This is like the
And
opposite.
so you're what, like 30 around then?
I turned 30 when we moved to Marblehead. Yeah.
How long did you live in Marblehead? I didn't even know that. I didn't know you lived in Marblehead.
Yeah, we were there a couple of years before we started having a family. And so I left Kenneth Cole, just quit my job, had no backup plan, moved up to Marblehead, started an event planning business with a friend of mine there. We put on a half marathon every year down on Cape Cod. We took a run at it. It never really took off, but we dabbled in a couple of events. I did event planning for the YMCA. I was a substitute teacher. I took every cake decorating class you can imagine, photography class. I did adult education classes in interior design and every creative thing you can think of over the next 5 years.
I just trying was a little bit of everything?
Yeah, piecing it together. Started a family.
Yep.
Was essentially a stay-at-home mom, but all the while kind of doing these creative things. Yep. So then I had 2 daughters now, so they were born. We moved back this way, like I said, and I knew that when my oldest daughter was in kindergarten, first grade, I needed to have a career started. Yeah. I didn't want to wait until they were done with high school or whatever. So I was doing my own home, decorating my own home. I would help friends. And then Danielle Ross, who owns Windham Orthodontics, had approached me and said, I want you to design my new office that I'm opening. And I was like, I'm not really doing this professionally yet. She's like, no, you have to do it, please. And I'm like, okay, I'll try. So I jumped in, designed her space, and I was like, I love this. Yeah. I'd never worked with contractors before. I had always just kind of done my own thing, and I loved the experience of being part of the process right from the ground up.
That's cool. I didn't know that you designed her office. I've been in there 1,000 times.
Yeah.
So how did you know Danielle at that point? Were you guys just friends from town?
We were friends from going to dance class with our little girls. Okay. So they would go into dance and we would wait in the waiting room, as moms do. Yeah. And we would just talk, and we had a lot in common just from our personal lives, and we just became friends. Yeah.
And she said, just design my office?
Yeah, again, people would see my house, and they liked my house, I guess, and I would always kind of be offering my unsolicited advice. And, I do like to dress a certain way, and I think people just kind of caught on. They're like, oh, she's got
it was real cool. And
she's got some kind of an idea, more than I do. So, she asked me to design her space, and I did. So that was my first job.
That's pretty awesome that you weren't doing it professionally at all, and you go in and design her whole entire building.
For sure, you need to just have balls to do any of this stuff, right?
Any of it.
And there have been multiple projects along the way where I have gone in thinking, I have no freaking clue how to do this, but I'll step up to the plate.
Well, that's what you have to do anything.
Yeah.
I talk to the guys here about it all the time. You can't try to plan everything out and have everything figured out before you're going to do something. No. Then you get that old analysis paralysis where you're just thinking about it, not doing a fucking thing at all. You're doing nothing other than thinking about it.
Yeah.
You're just going to start taking steps. You know what I mean? And just start going.
Yeah.
And then you figure out as you go.
Completely. Yeah. And I think, too, I was just talking with a friend about this the other day, and she had read a quote about, a lot of people think that you have to be motivated in order to do something. Yeah. And in a lot of times, it's the opposite. You just have to do something to get motivated to do it. Yeah. So doing that, also realizing, for me, sort of a mantra that I tell myself all the time is that if somebody else can do it, you can do it. They know they know how to do it. You can do it. What do they have that you don't have?
That's anything.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Especially these days, with how much information is at our disposal. You can just pick up your phone and look up anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? To try to figure things out.
Right.
I had Eric Spofford was on here.
I saw that. I've been watching him.
Yeah, and I was talking to Eric, and he's like, these days it's you can do anything if you want to, because you just got to figure it the fuck out. That's what he says all the time. And you just got to pick up your phone and Google it, and you can figure anything out. So anybody that says they can't do anything because they don't know how, that's just a bunch of bullshit. They're just being lazy and don't want to do anything.
Right. It is overwhelming. So I think that you have to overcome your fear, right? And that goes for so many parts of life. So back to my story. So I designed that office. Yep. Then I said, okay, well, I'll create an LLC and I kind of hang a sign out and see what happens. So I did that. People were going into Danielle's office, seeing what I had done, word of mouth. I literally got, one client, And that was like in the spring of 2011,
Yep.
and it just kind of trickled. So spring of 2011, I officially start my LLC, B Designs, and I got one client. And then over the summer, a couple of more start trickling in. Again, I have no clue how to do this. How do I buy product? I have no, like, am I supposed to buy everything and then they're going to pay me back? I want to seem professional, but I can't carry all this inventory. Like, I was trying to figure it all out. Not to get too personal, but then fall of that same year, my husband at the time blindsided me, major family upheaval, ended up divorced, and it was an extremely traumatic time. So literally, like in the blink of an eye, one day I was like on top of the world, kind of crushing it, and the next day it was like my entire world was exploded.
Right.
At the time, so my daughters were 5 and 3.
Yep.
And it was a horrible time. I could hardly even get out of bed, but I was starting to get clients.
Yeah.
So I remember one day, it was a brand new client, and she ended up being a client of mine for years. I would do like one room at a time, and then they moved. And she was a new client at the time, and I remember that morning, again, it was the fall of that year. I'm telling you, I could hardly get out of bed. It was all I could do to get myself there. I put on my happy face, my friggin' lipstick on my lips, and I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And I mean, people had no clue what was happening behind closed doors, and I would just go home and like collapse again. And that's also when I started at CrossFit Free, which
So that was 2011?
2011, yep. So then that was in the fall. I joined CrossFit in February of 2012.
Okay.
And I walked in there sort of like a wet puppy.
Yeah.
I was like a shell of myself. I was like hardly eating. The coach there at the time, Justin, was so amazing, and he knows the story, and I've thanked him so many times. But it honestly CrossFit gave me something to do, something to get up and go do.
Yep.
I had to eat so that I could have strength to get through it. So I was starting to eat well and take care of myself better. And every time I would get through the workout, I would think to myself, if I could do that, I can do anything.
True.
And it helped. And I built my confidence up little by little. And I just kept going, kept building my business, and word of mouth. Yep. I mean, I can trace my design business back to probably 3 clients.
Yeah. It's funny, I can kind of do that in this business too, because I know exactly right when it started and when it started to grow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think CrossFit, because for those people that don't know, that's where we met.
Yeah.
I think I started there in the end of 13, so probably about a year after you did.
Yeah.
And I mean, I met so many great people there. You know what I mean? Like so many great friends. Mm-hmm. You were saying it before we started today, like 7 or 8 people from CrossFit work here.
I know.
And they're like great friends of mine. Eddie, we've been friends for, 7-8 years now.
I know.
So I think CrossFit, as much as I was, kind of bitching about it before because it fucked up my back and my shoulder and my hip and my knee.
Yeah.
But that's, I self-inflicted.
Exactly.
It gives you like a level of confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's I think it's a great mental escape from everything else. Because it's different than just like going to a regular gym because it's so hard and it's so challenging for that hour that you literally can't focus on anything else other than that. And you get through it. And for me, I remember at times when, because I was going through a lot of shit back then too, you know what I mean? At times when like everything else in your world is all fucked up and out of order and screwed up and you're having a hard time, and you'd go there and get through that workout like you said, and it would be so difficult. You'd walk out and be like, okay, now I can face the day. If I can get through that, right, I can face the day. And I think for some reason, because of how difficult it is, it like something with the
endorphins
or some bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah.
You come out of there feeling different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
your mood 100% changes. If you go in one way, you come out another way. And it's like...
Yeah. And Justin was awesome.
I know. Shout out to Justin.
Yeah, shout out to Justin.
Miss you.
Yeah, we just did his loan. He just bought a house.
Oh, awesome.
So congratulations, Justin.
Yes.
But yeah, no, he was super helpful. Not even just like, I'm not even just saying like from a coaching standpoint.
Right.
From like, he knew when you needed help mentally. You know what I mean? Like, and that's great that CrossFit was such a big help for you back then.
Yeah, and I think even to this day, so when I think about what is my purpose, or, what message am I trying to tell myself or put out there? And I often think about, I am always trying to fulfill my purpose and show people and myself that I can live up to my potential. I put so much pressure on myself to live up to my potential. I can't even articulate 100% what that is. Yeah. I have a vision in my mind, and I can see it like visually what that picture means. But I think it's inspiring to me when I see other people pushing themselves, living up to their potential, not letting themselves down. And CrossFit is part of that. I think to myself, like, okay, I am 49 years old. I started there when I was 40 in the middle of a terrible time of my life. And I did it. I continue to do it, whether it's CrossFit or races or bringing up my daughters to be kind, wonderful young women. I have a lot of animals in my house, and I'm always like, pushing myself to do.
You do? What animals do you have?
We have fewer now than we have in the past, but we have 2 dogs and a bunny. But I mean, we've had the turtles and the guinea pigs and so many things. I don't know. I think it's important to like hold yourself accountable, have that vision in your mind of what's the kind of person I want to be, and live up to that potential. And CrossFit helps me do that because I'm like, I'll be damned if I'm not going to like get through this one way or the other.
Yeah, it's something that is good just to get through. You know what I mean? Like I did today at lunchtime. So we go to Drive now over here, and I did my first workout with Nicole today. We worked with the trainer together because we normally go separately. And I felt like I was like back at CrossFit. I'm like pushing sleds. I'm doing kettlebells. I'm doing all this shit. I'm like, this is fucking miserable. I'm like, I like to slowly lift weights now. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah. That's good for you. That's good for you.
Slowly lift weights. But I was going through it, and I'm like, you know what? It was almost like a refreshing feeling to be like, all right, I got to get through this. And I remember thinking back to when I was at CrossFit, it's, all right, no matter what, at the end of this hour, I'm going to be done, and I'm going to feel like fulfilled and like I accomplished something.
Yeah.
And I had that same feeling today, and I brought it back, and I know what you mean. It's a great feeling.
I know. It sounds kind of crazy that we're talking so much about that, but it is a big part of like my personality and how I get through my day and what I do. So that was sort of like the early 2010s, 11s, 12s, built the business, bringing up the girls. And then as my girl, again, was kind of having the foresight, like, okay, pretty soon my kids are going to be going to college. I mean, at that time they were middle school and elementary school, but I'm always thinking sort of like 5 years down the road.
It happens fast too.
Yeah, and I'm always a little bit like, oh my God, like what's going to happen when they're gone? And so I was already starting to think about what's going to be my next thing. And even though the design business was, taking off, it wasn't going to be enough to sort of be enough for me to live off of and make a huge career out of.
Sure.
So at the time, this is going back to 2018, in our town, there are these historical homes right in the center of town that were being renovated, and they had a ton of like overgrown shrubs in the front, and the land needed to be cleared, and little by little they were being worked on, and it just sort of caught my eye. I'm like, where did these buildings come from? Like I never even noticed. You almost didn't
even notice they were there.
You didn't. No.
You drive by them and like not even see them.
No, because they were like decrepit, so you never really crossed your mind. Well, now all of a sudden they're sort of being brought back to life, and unbeknownst to me or I don't know anybody, there was a beautiful barn in the back too. I'm like, oh my God, what is that barn? And I thought that would be an awesome store.
Yeah.
I lived 2 miles up the street, and I was like, I need to find out like what the deal is with this. So I actually pulled into the parking lot, had my boyfriend take a picture of me in front of it. This is before I even made a phone call. I'm like, take a picture. I'm like, this is where I'm going to have my store. I hadn't even made a call yet. Nope, I had no idea. But I'm like, I want to take a picture so that when this happens, I'll have a picture to say, remember when I stopped and took a picture there? So I took a picture in front of the barn, called the realtor, no answer. I called like every day. This is at the end of October in 2018. Kept calling, leaving messages all the time about the barn. The realtor didn't get back to me until January of 2019. He calls me, and he's like kind of a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's like, what's up with you in the barn? We call you the barn lady in the office. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, thank you. You finally called me back. I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. I said, I'm an interior designer. I would love to have a retail store. I think it looks so cool. He's like, listen, the barn is not in great shape. The owner isn't planning on doing any renovations anytime soon, but you should come down. I think you should look at one of the other buildings. I'm like, no. I'm like, I need to have the barn.
Yeah, it's got to be the barn.
It's got to be. He's like, listen, you need to come meet me anyway, even if you want the barn. He's like, so just come down. I'm like, okay, fine. So off I go, and he brings me into the building, which is now Willow.
Yeah.
And immediately I walked in. First of all, it was ripped to the studs. There weren't even stairs to enter into the home. You had to like walk up a plank to get in. It's all a mess. And right away I was like, oh, I can see it. This would be better.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Because it had multiple rooms, and I thought I could treat it like a home, and I could have a living area. I could have a dining area. I thought at the time I would do like a design studio and all of this stuff. So I'm like, okay, I see this. And the barn, it turned out would have been too small. So I'm like, okay. And so again, no clue how to do this. Mind you, now I am still a single mom, not making a ton of money. It's not like I had this reserve to pull from or a fund to be like, great, I'll invest in a store. So basically I just kind of kept following the breadcrumbs. I did what you were talking about earlier, just kind of Googled, like, how do I get a loan? How do I get funding? Talked to a guy at a bank, and he's like, I got to be honest. He's like, most people in your situation would take out a home equity line of credit. He's like, that's going to be your quickest way into the game, and blah, blah, blah. Luckily, I had, a lot of equity in my home, and was able to do that. So I go through all the hoops, whatever, to find the money. And then I'm like, I'll never forget the day. I was actually at a fabric store in Lynn, and I got the call that the loan had gone through. And I was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to do this. Yeah. And that, more than any other time as far as the retail store, is one of those moments where I thought, holy crap, like, this is happening. So I'll never forget that day. Came home, had a talk with my girls. And I was like, listen, it's going to take a lot of work. Do you guys want to do this now? I kind of thought this might be something I would do more when they went to college. Yeah. But they were like, no, we want to do it. So again, just kept following the breadcrumbs. I love that you consulted the kids about it too. Yeah, well, you know them a little bit, but they're pretty special. Yeah. And I knew that they would be like my partners. I mean, we're very much like a little team. A little team. Yeah. They're taller than me now, which isn't too difficult to do. But they're just, and I knew I was going to need their support because chances were that I wouldn't be around that much, and they had to kind of understand it. So they were super helpful. And then I was like, okay, great. Secured the loan, got the lease, figured that all out. Actually, you helped me. You referred me to an attorney who helped me answer some questions. A ton of that. Like, who do you know? Like, and then I had another friend who was like, oh, you should call so-and-so because he knows a lot about real estate. Have him look at your lease. And then I called that guy blind, like, hey, my friend, can you just, and he was like, yeah, I'll take a look at your lease and help me there. And then I knew a contractor who was like, can you just come and walk through the building with me and, give me your, and so he helped me there. I knew a girl who worked at one of my favorite stores down in Andover who was amazing. And I called her and was like, I need someone just like you. Would you come and work for me? And she's like, no, I'm super happy where I am, but I know another girl who's just like me. And I'm like, I'll take her. All right. So I call her up, and basically I'm like, will you come help me? So, yep, she comes on board. She had retail experience, so she knew the different vendors to call, like where I should look for product, how to navigate that whole world. So piece that together. And then I went down to Atlanta for my first market, which is where you go to buy product. Yeah. And again, that was another kind of light bulb moment. I was going into the airport. My boyfriend at the time took a picture of me and sent it to me, girl with a mission. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. And I get down there and it's floor after floor. If you've ever been to these markets, they're crazy. It's just so much stuff. And I'm all by myself. I'm literally sweating. Right. I walked 6 miles that day, just ran around this building. I tracked my mileage. I was no clue what to do, how much of anything to buy. But yeah,
You figured it out.
Figured it out.
Willow's a smashing success, right? Has been.
Yeah, it's been going really well.
Yeah.
So that was it. We've got all the product in. We opened in the fall of 2019.
Yep.
Yep.
So, wow, it's been that long already, huh?
Yeah.
2.5 years almost?
Right? Just about.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So have you gotten a ton of other design clients from the store?
Yeah.
I
so
bet, right?
that was the whole idea, was that I thought if I could show people what I can do
Yep.
design-wise, I knew that if they could come in and see it, that they would want me to come to their home. So even though I wasn't sure if Willow was necessarily going to be super successful as a store, because our town it's not like a sleepy town, but it's also not like a metropolis where people are like buzzing about shopping. But I thought, at least if I can get them in the door, show them what I can do, they're going to want me to come to their home. And it totally worked. I mean, weekly we get people in that are like, oh my God, I love it here. Can you come to my home? And we're like, yep. And we get, it's exploded. So I would say my business from when I started, so let's call it 2011 till maybe 2017, was one thing.
Yep.
And then my business from 2018 till now is totally different on the design side. Yeah. So much so that I feel like I am starting a brand new business. Like there's so many new things.
It's different. It's totally different than what it was, right? Because if you were kind of doing it almost like half time, almost.
Yeah.
And now you've got so much business that you probably don't have enough time.
Right.
Right.
And now I'm learning how to run a business.
That's a whole.
I feel like I've
thing.
talked to you a little bit about that before, where, I never had anybody to help me. It was always just me. I would do everything.
Yeah.
But now, I need someone to help me track shipments, and I need somebody to help me move these projects along. And so I have wonderful, amazing people that help me, but a lot of times I'm like, I don't even know how to tell them what to do. Like, I just do it. Like, can you just go in my brain and figure it out and then just go do it? But no, I have to
time.
Yeah.
That'll come with time. And we did talk about that one day when Nicole and I were in the store. It's like, as you're growing a business, it's almost like a baby, right? And it's like you're afraid to trust somebody else with your baby, right? But if you want it to continue growing and get bigger and better, and you need to delegate certain things to other people, and those people will see it, and see each task or each job in a different way than you would, and they might even be able to do it even better. You know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah.
Once you empower them to do that.
Yep.
But it's hard in the beginning to kind of relinquish that, the responsibility to them. But as you do, and I even said to you that day, I'm like, you just need more people.
I know.
You know what I mean? It's hard though.
Yeah. Yeah, it is hard, and it's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you would ask me right now, like, oh, what do you do for a living? I build a business.
Right.
I wouldn't even say interior designer or store owner. I would say I'm building a business.
It's true.
Yeah. Like, that's my daily function right now. I mean, I'm kind of joking because obviously I'm doing a ton of creative work with the design side, and then the store requires a whole other set of skills. But on the day-to-day, it's about structure, how do we all communicate, trying to find communicating platforms, scheduling platforms, working on social media, events, like how do we streamline all of this stuff? And if that was all I did, it's really fascinating. Yeah. Like, it also stresses me out a lot. It's very, very stressful because it's new, but it is very exciting.
Yeah. Once you find the right tools, not that I know all of them, I'm saying like specifically for our business, once you get the right, kind of tools in place, and we've, turned over different things. We'll use one scheduling type of platform for a year or two, then find something better and go to that.
Yep.
Like, it gets easier and more streamlined.
Yeah.
But figuring it out is a whole job in and of itself.
I know, but and this kind of keeps going back to that whole thing, like, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
So on my team with everybody, I'll sort of say to them, like, nobody taught me how to do this either. Mind you, I'm here, so I can help you. I'm like, but honestly, you sort of have to just jump in and do it.
Right.
Play with like, we have a design platform, like, just get in there, play with it. If you have questions, I'm here for you and I can help you. But like, no one taught me. Like, I literally just like plucked this out of the air and was like, I'll try this. And
yeah, but that's why you're you and other people are other people.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's because I have that frustration all the time too.
Yeah.
I'm like, just fucking do it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I know.
And then you realize that not everybody is
yeah.
you.
We
You know
all
what I
have our
mean?
role.
Right,
yeah.
right. And everybody does things differently. but you can help to teach them how to get there. And it just happens. You know, that takes time, but it'll happen, you know?
No, it already is happening. Like, you know, so we're 2.5 years in on the store. That's coming along. I mean, I think that's easily a minimum of 5 years before we figure that thing out.
Yeah.
You know, we had a shutdown for 2020, and people are really just starting to come back out and getting out there in the retail store. So who knows?
How were you actually closed for a while?
Yeah, we closed from March until June.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a long time in retail.
Yeah, that was rough.
Yeah.
So actually, that's where my amazing friend over here, Allison, she's over here in the corner. We're great friends, and during quarantine times, she's just really good at social media.
Yep.
And we were all the time kind of hanging out at Willow. She's like, "Do you want me to help you with social media? Like, I'm pretty good at it." I'm like, I didn't want to like burden her. I'm like, "No, that's okay." And she's like, "All right, you know, I don't mind." And so I'm like, "Okay, do you mind?" If
you don't mind, we'll do it.
So then she would like help me, and it was amazing, like 100 times better than anything I was doing. And so eventually, basically, I was like, I need to hire you. Like, please come and do this for me. And so she did. So during quarantine, as a way for us to stay alive, is we would meet down there every day. And Allison had a great idea to put together like packages. Yep. So we would have like different packages. Like, for example, it would be like the cooking mama, the wine mama, the beach girl mama, and it would be like a scarf and a candle. And so we would package it all together so people could literally just DM us and say, I want 3 of the beach girl mamas. I want 2 kitchen mamas. Can you deliver them to my friends? And they were like these uplifting gifts that people around town were just like delivering to their friends or their family. And it sustained us. And we would, then Mother's Day came and we did a whole Mother's Day thing, and Father's Day came, and it was enough to keep us going, and we were doing local delivery, and then it got us through when we were able to open again in June.
I loved watching what all the small businesses around did throughout that time to get through it. I mean, even like the restaurants, how all the restaurants all popped up outside.
I know.
You know what I mean? And
it's crazy.
You did creative things like that, and they were like, all sorts of different things that people were doing just to get by.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I loved seeing that, like, talk about like entrepreneurial, mindset.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we need to shift and do something different to get through this.
That was so crazy. I remember, that first week, all of us just thought it was like going to be like a 10-day shutdown. We were like, oh, I've never slept better in my life, because I was like, nobody else can work either. So I guess I won't work. And I slept so well because I'm like, well, no pressure. It's just like a mandated vacation. So that was like week 1. And then obviously that next week we all realized, oh, this is not going away. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
This is a baby of a business.
Yeah.
And I got rent to pay. We've got product in my store. What are we going to do? Reached out to my my landlord, and he was amazing. He froze my rent for those 3 months.
Awesome.
And so that obviously helped very much. And then, then it was just kind of scrambling, like, what are we going to do? And
Yeah, that was stressful. We had we just moved into this. We had our grand opening, what was it, February 20th? Right?
Oh, my God.
So February 20th, right? We had like 300 people up here for a huge party. I just took over 9,000 square feet up here, right? and then me, Nicole, and the boys go on vacation to Puerto Rico, right? On the, what was it, the 12th of March, right? So like there was like a little bit of talk about COVID.
Like you need to wash your hands.
Yeah, but not like it was a big deal.
Right.
And we got there on Wednesday, and the whole world went into panic on Saturday. The island shut down, and we were like stuck in a hotel room being like, what?
Yeah. Can we go home?
And like, what? Right? And then we go to the airport, and everybody was trying to leave Puerto Rico, right? Get home. Nobody can go to work.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't have that relaxing week that you had. You know what I mean? I was in like complete panic, and they're saying everybody's going to stay home. I stayed home for probably like 4 or 5 hours, and I'm like, I'm going to the office.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't stay home.
Right.
And so I was in this place by myself for like 2 months.
Oh my God.
Just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And we did, and everyone did. And that's what I think was so great is that, everybody, not everybody obviously, but, I'm saying from a business standpoint, many, many businesses fought and got through it, which was nice to see.
Yeah.
And that's early on, right? You guys just opened in the fall.
Yeah, so we were open like 6 months, And then that happened. Yeah. So I, in a lot of ways, feel like we're just figuring it out. Like this year was really informative, and I feel like we got it into a better groove. But we then decided to add clothing to Willow, which was a new
I know.
department for us. Which,
I think my wife has it all.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she does too. I love your wife. I love you, Nicole. She's my VIP. And it's been great. But again, just because I guess I like a challenge, I had to figure that all out.
Yeah.
Like I had no idea, where do you buy the clothes and how many do you buy and do we need a fitting room and I need, displays for that.
Right.
So I don't know. I think I'm a little bit of a glutton for punishment. Like I keep kind of twisting and turning, but
No, that's what you do though. You're creative though, and you've got a great attitude about it. And, everything you do is always so like cool. You know what I mean? It's like,
thanks.
It really is. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you look super cool, and the store's got cool shit, and it's
my
like
kids are gonna
it's
die
awesome.
when they hear that.
It's
I'm gonna
true,
need that
though.
on boomerang and playback.
Yeah,
slow.
totally. We
You're
can do that.
cool.
Anna, we can do that, right?
Yeah.
We can just tell Brenda she's cool
On a
over and over
roll.
again.
Like,
you are, right? I've thought it for years, like well before the store. I'm like, she's so cool,
So I have another thing. So I'm a big believer in like manifestation and all. I'm up at the freaking crack of dawn every day, writing down my goddamn goals and, all day long, like talking to myself and whatever. So years ago, we were watching like the show The Voice.
Yep.
And at the time, Pharrell was on it.
Yeah.
And he had said to one of the contestants, this is so random that I'm saying this, but I think it's so funny. He said something like, I believe in you. You're a star. And I was like, I wish I could have Pharrell like in my pocket every day, just like, I believe in you. You're a star. So my daughter, Callie B, like did a selfie saying that to me.
That's awesome.
And I have it like on my phone all the time. She's like, Brenda, I believe in you. You're a star.
That's
I'm like,
awesome, though.
Yeah. So now I'm going to add this.
Yeah.
You're cool.
Yeah, you are cool. You are cool, and you are a star.
Oh my
you should write that.
God.
You know what I do sometimes? I'll write shit like that on my bathroom mirror.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because I see it all the time. Like if I have like a goal or something that I want to remind myself of constantly, I'll just put it on the mirror.
That's it.
Nicole thinks I'm crazy, but
You're a little crazy.
I am a little crazy
In a good way.
But it works. You know what I mean? And sometimes you just need to remind yourself of those things.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's been fun. It's crazy. I don't know what this year will bring. What are we doing this year? I'm trying to think if we're like changing things or we've got some surprises up our sleeve.
Tell people what else is in the store. I know because I'm in there all the time. And
so we have a lot of home decor. So everything that you would need to furnish and finish a room, we have a custom line of furniture. So sectionals, sofas, ottomans, all of that stuff. So rather than go to the big box stores, you can come to us and have that one-on-one experience. Rugs, lighting, and different stuff than what you're going to find everywhere else. So I'm a big fan of a lot of different stores, and we'll kind of bring pieces together. But that's one of the compliments we get a lot about Willow is that, it's unique. So every home that we go into, we make it uniquely that person's home.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not 100% one store. It's a little bit of everything. We bring in a lot of vintage items.
Yep.
So I love to mix kind of old and new. And now we have clothing. So, every women's clothing. So no men's clothing yet, but you never know. And we do a ton of events.
Yeah.
Every single month we have an event calendar going on, so you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and you can find out what events. So this month, with it being January and kicking off the year, all of our events are based around intention setting, goal setting, and sort of being your best self. So we had an event last week where we did permanent jewelry and setting intentions while that jewelry is being put on. This weekend we're doing a vision board workshop. So come and create your vision board.
Is Allison doing that with you?
Yep. Allison from CrossFit. Yep. So she's coming on Sunday, and then in a couple of more weeks, we're doing an event with what's it called? Simplified by Lauren. Simplified by Lauren.
Oh, she does the
organizing.
The organizing. Yep.
Yeah. So every month we do stuff like that, as well as we always try to incorporate some kind of either charitable component or awareness campaign.
Yep.
So every single month we're either promoting any number of things. It could be blood drive. It could be raising money for breast cancer. We're going to be doing a sock drive for the homeless coming up.
That's awesome.
We've done a lot of programs at the local Shepherd's Pantry in Windham. So we're always looking to incorporate that too. Try to give back.
Yeah, and that's like makes it all worth it too. Like we love doing all that stuff too, and it's it's like, yeah, it's great to run the business and make some money, but if you can, give back to the community at the same time, especially like a lot of people don't realize like how much need there is, like right here in the Salem Windham area. People think about Windham and they go, oh, everything's perfect. No, it's not.
No,
you know what I mean? Absolutely not.
People fall on hard times everywhere, and you never know what's going on.
Nope.
They could be pulling up in the fanciest car and going home to a shit show.
Yeah, who knows?
So I mean, and that always been very important to me with my girls. We've always done some kind of a charity since they were little. Like always try to give back. I learned that from my mom. Trying to teach it to them. So it makes you feel good.
Yeah, and I like the whole families in the store too. One day I had a long conversation with your mom in there.
Yes, my mom worked with me. My dad's my handyman, so he's always down there.
I don't think I met your dad.
Oh, you would remember Rick. He's hysterical.
I met your dad, but seeing the girls in there, I like that. Because
I know.
Same way here. Me and Nicole run this place, but you walk in here and our dogs will be running around, our kids will be running around.
Yeah.
It's like, I like that.
I do too.
I like a family-run business.
It's so fun. Yeah, and when the weather gets nice, we have this beautiful lawn out back. So we do food trucks and all kinds of stuff. I really want to have like a permanent food truck on our property. If I had it, wouldn't that be so cool?
That'd be awesome.
And in the summertime, we could have like a bonfire and like some bistro lights, just like
that'd be
another
great.
Place to go.
Yeah, a place to go hang out.
So we'll see.
You know what? Food? Have you had the grilled cheese truck?
We're trying. Say cheese.
Oh my God.
Is it called Say Cheese?
Is that the one we had? Do you guys remember? Yeah.
They're on our list.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. And Anna at her wedding had the what was that? The apple cider donut. Oh my God!
Love a donut.
Yeah, I was at her wedding. I ate like 500 of those things. I'm drinking wine, just like popping donuts down.
It's so much fun.
Too,
and that's another thing too. Like those people are so creative. Like every time we get a different food truck, or we have different. We've had pottery people come to our store. We have like plants people come, and I'm always just so in awe of these people. I'm like, you are so creative. Like, look what you did. This is amazing. And I love that. So we have a lot of local vendors. I should mention that too. Like any jewelry, we've got, custom signs that we do, and they're all, and I'm just always just so in awe. I'm like, you made that, or how did you come up with that idea?
Yeah.
And it's,
they're probably thinking the same thing about you.
Cool. Yeah, it's a mutual admiration society for sure. We're all like, you're awesome. You're awesome.
You're awesome.
We're like,
you're cool. You know what I love too? I love your videos that you do. Like when you did that video about the perfect jewelry.
Yeah.
It's like, I even said to Nicole, I'm like, do you see that video that Brenda did when you're sitting there with a cup of coffee? And it was almost like soothing too. You're very like calming.
Allison does all my social media.
Right? Don't you agree? No, is she not?
Well, that's one of the most heard comments about Willow is that it's very calm and very soothing, which I'm pumped about because that's one of my affirmations that I do is that I'm calm.
Yeah.
The building itself lends to that because it's a historical home and it just in and of itself is super chill. But we've always got a candle burning.
Yep.
I'm super mindful about the music that we play. I have an amazing friend who's a DJ who has put together, playlists for me, and it's all part of it. It's like very sensory, all of the sensors, right? But I'll tell you one other funny story because we're talking about the video. So Allison does all of my videos. And I think that you'd be interested to know our story. Do you know about me and Allison and how we know one another?
No.
It's just funny. So we'll take a picture after and maybe your viewers can see us together. Yeah. But I'm short. I like to say I'm 5 feet, but I think I might be a little bit under.
You're in the 4s, maybe?
Maybe. I'd make my doctor put down, the 5 feet for me, and she makes me happy. So, but Allison is a tall, blonde bombshell, right? So we kind of look visually like a little off, and we kind of do everything together.
Yeah.
But the way I met Allison was that she was my ex-husband's girlfriend.
Oh my God, that's wicked funny.
For many years, right? So I got to know her that way at first. And then the shutdown happened at Willow. She was still with my ex at the time. And we got even closer because now she's doing my social media.
Yeah.
She's still with my ex. And we're kind of like helping each other out with our kids. Like she would pick up my girls from school. I would, we would just be helping each other out. Fast forward till the end of that year, her and Chris break up.
Yep.
And, obviously she's upset. And I'm like, oh my gosh, come down to Willow. Let's just talk. Let me hear everything, kind of a thing. So she comes down. It's the middle of the winter. It's freezing. Comes in. I'm pretty sure she was holding a bottle of wine. She was wearing this sleeping bag jacket, just let's do this. And she sits down. I'm like, you know what? I'm so pumped because I think we're going to be even better friends now.
Right.
take that out of the picture.
Right.
Like,
remove that.
Just me and you. We can be like real friends and like talk. And we've become like best friends.
That's awesome.
We do everything
That's
together.
great.
We have this kind of odd common denominator, but it worked out, you know?
That's fantastic.
It's
It's
so
funny
funny.
how you can come together like that, right? Like that's a relationship you wouldn't expect to.
No.
You know.
Everyone's like, how did you know her? I'm like, yeah, she's my ex's
Yeah,
ex.
we have the same ex.
We have the same ex. So it's just funny. It's just like, it's funny, but it's also pretty, I'm not surprised that this is part of my life. I have a lot of weird friendships like that just have come together over this modern family style life that I live in.
You know what though? I think that's like most people's lives. You know what I mean? Like it's these days. It's not like the perfect family with the perfect this. It's not.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
I know.
You know, and I kind of
Patchwork.
like it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And as long as you're kind to people and nice to people.
Yeah.
And you guys, even though she was going out with your ex-husband, you were probably just very nice to her, and you were very very nice to her, and that's how it came together, right? Because being nice is the way to be. Be kind, treat people well, be respectful no matter what, and good shit happens.
Yeah, especially with women. I think like for women, I don't know, you can kind of go one of two ways. You can kind of go the catty road or not lift people up. And I've always gone the other road. Like I always want to treat people how I want to be treated, lift people up, anything that I can do to help. I mean, I'm a girl's girl. I've got girls. I have a ton of great close girl friendships. And so, yeah.
That's the way to be, though. It's unfortunate because it seems like that's kind of like an anomaly with women. Most women are not nice to other women.
I mean, I don't know. It's hard for women because we kind of start out of the gate. It's getting better now generationally, but you kind of start out of the gate sort of like with a wall up and like, I got to prove myself. I got to get like based on competing against men.
Right.
And then to throw other women into the picture, it just adds a whole nother layer of competition.
Right. That's what I was going to say. It seems like they're almost always in competition with one another for no reason.
Right. But I think obviously like I don't really have that mindset, but I think it takes a lot to get there. I think that especially for young women, they don't see a lot of times that you can lift each other up and that there's plenty of business out there. There are a lot of women-owned businesses right here in this neck of the woods, and we all support each other.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just this week, a boutique over in Nashua, who I'm like uber super fan of theirs, camaraderie. Their store, they lost their heat for the week, so they had to close. And so I had reached out and I'm like, listen, do you guys want to do a pop-up shop at Willow? Just bring your stuff over. We're kind of low on product right now anyway. Just sell your stuff. I was not the only one to reach out. Like other businesses did it too. And we were all kind of talking, just saying how, there's no competition here. Like there's plenty if you come to Willow and you sell your clothes, it doesn't mean that nobody's ever going to come to Willow again and buy my clothing that I'm offering.
Right.
Like
that's the abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
When everybody thinks there's not enough.
Right.
It's like there's plenty of everything for everyone.
Exactly.
It's like people talk about that even in our business.
Yeah.
In the mortgage business, it's like, well, this person's doing business. I'm like, so what?
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, like for us to have a fantastic month, we need to do like 150 loans. Would be fantastic, right?
Okay, yeah.
But like 5,000 close in the state every month.
Yeah.
So like there's plenty.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like don't worry about it, guys. You don't worry about a new loan officer move to town.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially like in the design world, it's like that too. Like you definitely can get in that sort of FOMO or imposter syndrome, all of those things where you're like, oh, they got that project. Look how amazing their project came out. Can I do that? Oh my God, I don't know if I could do it that way. It doesn't matter. Like whatever project comes your way and wherever you land, that's the one for you.
Yeah.
You're going to do it your way, and that's how it was meant to be, and that's amazing for you.
Yeah, that goes back to the whole don't worry about competition, whatever. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. Just worry about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And do the best job you can do with that. I
know, but it is exhausting.
It is hard.
It is hard.
It's
constantly
mentally exhausting.
It's mentally exhausting.
But that's all right. Get through every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You set your goals, like you said. Set your goals. You go to CrossFit. You have a great day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're exhausted. You go to sleep. You feel good about yourself. You do it again the next day.
I know. I feel like we just did like a hour-long commercial for CrossFit.
Hey, I talk about it all the time. I mean, I haven't been there in like 3 years, and I still talk about it all the time.
I know. That's so good, though.
Because it was great. You know what I mean? It was a great you know, like anything, right? It was a great like chunk of my life. You know what I mean?
I know. It was like college.
It kind of was.
College, yeah.
You know, but I met so many good friends. You know what I mean? So many people that I do a lot of business with now. You know, like me and Aaron, we've become really good friends, and we do a ton of business together. And I met him, you know, probably when I was throwing up out the back door after Justin made me row for an hour or something stupid. You know?
I think it draws people like us, right? Like we're all of that same mentality, like want to push each other. And so we're all sort of in that same headspace.
Yeah, and just
no matter what we're doing work-wise.
And really, like, so many people in there do have, like, the entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Business owners. And I think part of that is because of, like, the time when we would go, too, right? Like, when I first started going, it was at, I think 9 is where I started going. And
with all the moms.
Yeah, it was me and all the ladies. Me and all the ladies for a while. Right. Yeah. The funny thing was, I didn't talk to any of you guys for like a long time.
I know. You were very intense, Mike.
Yeah. I'm like, all these women.
We're crazy. We talked a lot.
Yeah, you did. You did. You guys would talk a lot, so I just listened.
Yeah.
But no, that was a great experience. Just like everything, though.
I know.
Just like different kind of parts of your life that
you know
combine and make a great story.
I know.
You know,
it's interesting to get to a point where you can kind of reflect.
Yeah.
There's enough time that's gone by where you can look back and go, oh, wow, that was a chunk.
Yep.
That was a chunk. Like, what's my next chunk?
Yeah, even like talking about like the whole thing through COVID, right? And making it through that, that's like an experience in itself.
Yeah.
You know, and hopefully we're coming out of that. Yeah. You know, I mean, I just got over my second bout of COVID.
Did you?
Yeah,
I know.
that was fine.
I know.
I'm not afraid of COVID. I haven't been from the beginning.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Not worried about COVID. Not one bit.
I know. You know? I know. Yeah.
Well, Brenda, this was awesome.
I know. Thank you so much. This is
where
fun.
can people find you, like on social media, all that good stuff?
Yep. So we have Shop Willow NH on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
And then what do I have? Willow Homes is the Homes by Willow. Sorry, we just did a rebranding.
Yeah.
So Homes by Willow on Instagram would be all my design work.
Okay.
So you can find us both of those places, and then willownh.com is our website.
Okay.
So you can do online shopping there. You can also see my portfolio, design services, everything, willownh.com.
Awesome. What are the store hours, just so people know when they can
so we're closed on Monday. Otherwise, we're open every single day. During the week, it's 12 to 5. Okay. On the weekend, Saturday, 10 to 5.
10 to 5.
Sunday, 12 to 4.
Beautiful.
Yep.
All right. And I can attest myself that Brenda does a wonderful job. She did my house.
Yes.
Yep. And we love it.
It's coming
along.
along.
I was a little resistant to the wallpaper idea.
Did a beautiful wallpaper.
And now I love it.
It's stunning.
I'm like, this is great wallpaper.
Yep.
I had no
Nobody
idea.
else has it. Right? It's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really cool. So it's nice when, like you made the house look like our own. We've been there for like 5 years and like didn't really do a whole lot other than, Nicole did like regular stuff. But like now it's like, oh, okay, now it looks like our own.
So just one quick last thing that you say it that way. I have a woman who was a client of mine. We did her home, and she ended up purchasing another home. She sold that home for double what she thought she was going to get, and she has told me multiple times she could not have gotten that asking price without the work that we had done.
I bet.
She's like, without a doubt, the touches that you put into our home got us that asking price. And
Doesn't surprise me at all.
Oh, so these little touches can add up.
Well, it makes it look unique, right? So someone walks in, and even like the wallpaper thing. Yeah. You know how many people have come into my house, and it's really the mudroom that really gets people, because they walk right in and they're like, wow,
I know.
This looks great.
It's going to get even better. We're not even finished.
Right. So it gives people like a great like first impression.
Yeah.
Then see like other unique things, like the little the bathroom downstairs. Like, I don't know. A ton of people have said how great that wallpaper is in there.
Awesome.
And the dining room, but people don't really go in the dining room all the time.
Yeah. Well, we need to have a dinner party.
Ooh,
When's
I love
COVID,
parties.
Right? Wouldn't that be fabulous?
Yeah, party's my favorite.
All right, we'll do that.
I throw good parties.
This fall.
Yeah, this fall.
Let's
have one every month.
Okay.
All right.
That would be so fun.
Yeah.
Have like different chef come in.
That would be fantastic.
All right.
Let's do it. I have lots of wine, right? We
Yes.
can have a chef come.
We could have like a cocktail night. We could have a wine night.
Yeah.
We could have a fondue night.
Yes. And wine with all of those things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
That would be great. Awesome. Brenda, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
coming on. Everybody, go to Willow, call Brenda, have her design your house. She does a great job. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
The mic drop.
Subscribe to success.